Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you with a Pokemon sales data video. This is going to be actually the last video before PWCC auction video, which I think I'm going to start on Monday because it's easier for me to type it out at the office than it is to write everything on paper. So why don't we get started? We have a Gym Heroes. We have a couple of these. We have a Lieutenant Surge's Pharaoh, first edition BGS 9, and this sold, or the reason it got a 9 is all of the upgrades got a 9, except for the edges got a 9.5. And I was going over it with someone today saying that, what do I like about PSA versus BGS? Well, PSA is definitely more consistent as far as the grades go. BGS, anything under a 9, there's a good chance. I think there's a better than 0.5% chance, but better than 50% chance that it gets wonky. Like, oh, it says an 8, but this looks like something that a 6 would be. Something like that. But BGS, anything 9 and over, or the subgrades 9 and over, that is usually pretty consistent, and the 9.5 is good, and they're very strict. So right now there's for Alligator number 4 from the Genesis going out. This one that's not as good artwork, and it's definitely more common, but it's Pop 3, because it's a BGS 10, the only subgrade that got below a 10 was the centering, which is 9.5, so all around it is a 10, and I would actually prefer that over PSA because you would have you at least can tell what exactly is wrong with the card. Or PSA, you're kind of doing guesswork. Like, okay, I see a little bit on the corner here, and maybe it's a little off center. But for the most part, it's good because obviously not all 10s are created equal. They're all different, like snowflakes or the JJs. But for the higher grades, I do like BGS a little more. I have a first edition BGS 9 Charizard and a first edition BGS 9 Raichu from base set. So eventually, after I pay this Trophy Kangaskhan off, $19,000 left, I will actually do that set in BGS 9. Considering I already have the most expensive one done, so figured why not. But anyway, this Lieutenant Surge's Pharaoh got 163. Sabrina's Gengar first edition PSA 9 got 762. That is a great card. Love that card. So cool. Fossil. Woo! Dragonite, first edition PSA 9, sold for $790. Rocket, we have a Dark Magneton, first edition PSA 9, sold for $183. Dark Dugtrio, first edition PSA 9, sold for $143. Dark Dragonite, first edition PSA 9, sold for $570. Those were going for like $1,200 at one point. So if you want one, now is a good time to buy during the dip. And Dark Charizard, first edition PSA 9, sold for $1125. Gym Challenge. Couple of these as well. We have a Misty's Gyarados, first edition PSA 9, sold for $305. Sabrina's Alakazam, first edition PSA 9, sold for $208. This is like an auction where it started at 0, where we had a Sabrina's Alakazam the other day. Start at $260. There was only one bid. And I think that's a fair price, for both of them. Obviously there's a little bit of retrace. This person got it for $52 discount. But I actually enjoy it when they start out at this amount, because there's a good chance, like with that Sabrina's Alakazam, the first person that bids usually gets it. I've seen that before. I've done that with a Hitmonlee and a Kabutops, both first edition PSA 10. It was in 2018, but they started at 100, and I've got them both for 100. And later, 2 years later, I sold them for 500 each. So yeah, those, even if you buy it at that and someone else buys it here, in the long term, grand scheme of things, it's going to go up. Rocket. I just did Rocket. Sorry, continuing with Gym Challenge. Rocket's Mewtwo, first edition PSA 9, sold for $453. Sorry. Okay. So I would say minimum this would be worth $2,000. The cheapest you were able to find this card until today was like $3,100. I put mine up for $2,500 just because he did pay off this Trophy Kangaskhan. I have like a month and a half left, so I'm like... So I have 2 Lugias up there, an 8 and a 7. The 8 I'll cut down to in another month because I think I have it up for like $4,000. So I might do it for 3 or maybe even less. I don't know. Lugia I have there for $2,000 or best offer, I think, and then I have a Blaine's Arcanine, which kills me to sell, and then Sabrina's Alakazam and a Rocket's Mewtwo. I put a bunch up today. I'm gonna get this paid off, I swear. Jungle, we have the Electrode first edition PSA 9, sold for $165. Jolteon first edition PSA 9, sold for $475. I'll go over a couple of these Jungle pop reports in a minute. Kangaskhan First Edition PSA 9s for 510. Why did Kangaskhan get more than Jolteon? Go over it in a minute. Nidoqueen First Edition PSA 9s for 280. Pinsir First Edition PSA 9s for 214. Snorlax First Edition PSA 9s for 810. Bioplume First Edition PSA 9s for 148. And another Snorlax First Edition PSA 9s for 680. So even more of a retrace with these Snorlaxes. They have been going... Well, the 10s have been going down, so it kind of makes sense why the 9s will go down as well. But I still think the 9 is undervalued. And a couple reasons why. Alright, so all these First Edition PSA 9s from Jungle Set, every single one of them, except for Victory Bell and Wigglytuff, have PSA 9s in the 400s. They have 400 copies of the PSA 9s in their power report. Jolteon and Flareon have in the 500s. But yeah, Wigglytuff is 357. And Victory Bell is 347. So those are the ones with the not as many. Some 100, 200 less than the other ones. Now, I'm going over this because Snorlax, I've said, okay, hey, if you can get it for under $1,000, I think that's a good deal. And I still do believe that. Partly because Snorlax is a fan favorite. He's one of Ash's Pokemon. He's in Super Smash Brothers. I want to say that, like, you know, throw in the Pokeball, you know, and Snorlax just comes down. He's in the games, like all the games. Like you can get him to wake him up with a Pokeflute. There's multiple of him in red, blue, and yellow. And then, can you get him in gold and silver? I'm sure you can. I don't remember. Sudowoodo blocks that path. I don't know. Somebody comment on that. But he's on Red's team as well. So again, he's in the movie, Pokemon movie 2000. It's not in the first one. And it's just part of Ash's team. It's part of Red's team. So there's a lot of screen time that he gets. So that's why Snorlax, that has 69 PSA 10 copies, I think is a little bit better than any of the evolutions, like Jolteon, Flareon, or Vaporeon. What's Vaporeon? Actually, hang on one second. Breaking news. All right, so Flareon and Jolteon have 125. Jolteon has 125 PSA 10 copies, and Flareon has 173 PSA 10 copies. So Snorlax, I think, even though evolutions are pretty coveted, you got a lot of EV hunters out there, there's just a lot less of Snorlax. And those Flareon and Jolteons, 531 PSA 9s, 504 PSA 9s for Flareon and Jolteon. With Snorlax is a bit less, 444. Again, Vaporeon is the only one that kind of beats him in rarity because there is... Where are we going? 3 less PSA 10s and 7 less PSA 9s. But even though that's an evolution, that's very hard to grade, Snorlax is still consistently sold for higher. So numbers speak for themselves. People want Snorlax a little bit more than they want Vaporeon. That's why I've been kind of pushing the Snorlax a little bit. But having said that, why did Jolteon get less than Kangaskhan? Because Kangaskhan, even though not really a fan favorite, I mean, you do have couple of different ways people are exposed to it. You have that Kangaskhan kid where that one episode they run into a kid that's raised by Kangaskhan, and literally all he says the whole episode is Kangaskhan, and it is ridiculous. And I distinctly remember my grandma getting just like, all right, the fuck is this? and I'll be like I swear it's not you. Pokemon's not usually like this. They usually speak human, not like Kangaskhan. And if we look at Kangaskhan's numbers, outside of it having... 66 PSA 10s, there's 448 PSA 9s, and again, Jolteon's just... It's got half of the amount of... Or less, a little bit more than half of the amount of Jolteon's, 125 PSA 10s. And Jolteon's very, very... The only one that beats Jolteon out, as far as like numbers, is Flareon. Flareon has even more PSA 10s and more PSA 9s. That's why Kangaskhan, the 9s, are getting a little bit more than Jolteon's, because Kangaskhan's, it's got just a lot less of them. So that's another thing I wanted to go through. Something that I think might be undervalued, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen a Wigglytuff sell. There's only 66 PSA 10s with Wigglytuff, and there's only 357 PSA 9s. So Wigglytuff is extraordinarily hard to grade. You just don't see it as much. And I'm going over jungles because I've gone over base a lot. I'll go over fossil a lot next, but these are just things I noticed. So in the 60s, we have Wigglytuff, Vaporeon, Snorlax, and Kangaskhan. Oh, and Clefable. That's why Clefable only got 62 PSA 10s, and I thought Yeah, Clefable's getting like $5,000, for the PSA 10s. Should probably get a little bit more because it's. I mean, I guess Clefairy has a hollow in base set, and Clefable has a hollow in Jungle, and Jungle's the second set. I thought it was pretty cool. Clefable also has a couple of pre-releases as well, and obviously everything in Jungle can have a no symbol rarity, where they just don't have the Jungle symbol on there. So there's a lot of different variations, and maybe that's why it's just not as popular as I think it should be or could be. But either way, really cool. That's my analysis right now. Wigglytuff might be a little undervalued. Just going over the numbers because there's not a lot of them. There's 400 and carry the 3, 413 combined PSA 9 and 10s, which is not a lot. Only 66 PSA 10s, so not a lot. None of them even really come close to that. Vaporeon, you have over 500. Snorlax, you have over 500, and Clefable, you have. Clefable's not 500, 680, 484. So Clefable's actually less than Wigglytuff, but again, no. Wigglytuff you just don't hear much about, which is a little surprising because Jigglypuff, again, it was in the main series, and Jigglypuff's in Pokemon Snap, and it was one of the only Pokemon you could evolve with a Moonstone. Same with Clefairy and Clefable. So that is just my analysis for the day. If I did have an extra $500, what would I put it in? Kangaskhan's not a bad idea. I honestly, I would put it probably in. Yeah, I would say Rocket's Mewtwo. There's only 140 PSA 10s of those. I'm not sure how many 9s, but there's just so much history with that card. I would just have Rocket's Mewtwo just having. It's a throw, and I even put this in the description of the card on eBay. You have a nod to the books, the manga, where Team Rocket hires Blaine to be able to create Mewtwo. So essentially, that is, even though in the comic books, yes, it's Blaine's Mewtwo, kind of, but he was working for Team Rocket when he did it, so it's Rocket's Mewtwo. And in the anime, Giovanni has it. In the games, they create Mewtwo, and he escapes, and he goes to that giant rock tunnel place. Not rock tunnel, but you know what I mean, the Cerulean Cave. And it's got 3 attacks, and it's got even a smaller hollow, a smaller picture to make room for the 3 attacks. It's just good artwork. It's just really cool. So if I had an extra $500, I would say Rocket's Mewtwo, first edition PSA 9. A lot of history with that card. I love you guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Patreon down below. I love you guys. Meow. Bye. Meow.